What is this production?
Oh!
Oh my God.
And the thing that I really appreciate about Tank is he's a dog. That kind of that what he just said. You can put them earmuffs up and go at it. He kind of will assess you as well in whatever he needs to do.
Jake Paul just reacted to the new sparring and training footage of Gervonta Tank Davis that's been blowing up all over social media, and his response has everyone talking. The clip shows Tank looking sharper, faster, and more explosive than ever as he grinds for his next fight, leaving fans wondering if this is the moment Gervonta Davis officially steps into his prime. Davis built his name in the lighter divisions, usually fighting between 133 and 135 pounds, never once tipping the scale above 140 in his pro career. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is a natural cruiserweight, living comfortably around 200 pounds, and that's where he's fought most recently. This isn't just a small gap, it's a canyon of weight classes. And when the difference is that big, everything changes. The heavier fighter often carries more durability, more raw power, more resistance to punishment. At that point, it's not only about skill, it's about who can take the hit and still keep coming.
Fortunate is the idea that Jake Paul might actually fight Gervonta Tank Davis. This can't be real. When it came up a couple of months ago, I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna cover this because there's no way it's real. There's no way they're really gonna do that because it makes no sense. Why would you do that for him? Outside of it, like, okay, you can look at it like an exhibition, which it will be, and we'll take a look at some of the rule set for it. But Gervonta Davis is one of, if not the best, biggest names at 135 pounds, and is an active in his prime fighter. I don't want to hear the similar to Floyd and Logan thing, because at that point, Floyd was retired. Floyd had done all he needed to do in the sport. Tank is still in his prime, still has multiple high-level opponents that he needs to fight. And you could say, oh, you know, the Jake would be a one-off. Side quest. That's fine, but that just tells me that Tank doesn't care about being a high-level champion in the sport anymore.
Carmelo Martin recently reflected on a sparring session with Gervonta Davis back when Davis was just 15 or 16. He admitted he was nervous at first, but the moment the gloves touched, it turned into a chess match, not all about power, but about timing, speed, and precision. Martin said Davis never tried to go full force or knock him out. Instead, they traded angles and rhythm, testing each other's minds as much as their movements. He could feel Davis's strength, no doubt, but when it came to pure skill and quickness, they went toe-to-toe. For Martin, it was fun, intense, and a moment that truly shaped him as a fighter.
You sparred him. I know you sparred Tank early on. Yeah. What was that experience like? Like, replay that experience for me. Like, you coming out of it, what was your thought?
Yeah, I was nervous at first. I think I was 15 at the time we sparred, so he wasn't really like trying to knock me out or nothing like that. But we was going like, he was using the speed on me. Like, we was both like going speed for speed, and it was great. It was like a chess match.
Did you understand in that moment like why he is who he is?
Yeah, I seen why he's able to beat these guys. Then I also seen why I'm so like. I got all this hype around me too.
Sean Porter stepped in to defend Gervonta Davis's choice to take an exhibition fight with Jake Paul, saying the critics are missing the real story. To Porter, this isn't about proving greatness inside the ropes. It's about securing a future for Davis and his family. Since it's an exhibition, the rules and safety measures keep the risks low, with the true goal being entertainment. Porter pointed out that fighters have short windows to earn, and they have to grab the chances that bring both exposure and financial security. From that angle, Davis isn't selling out. He's being smart, protecting his future, and giving fans something to enjoy. Porter's words shine a light on that constant struggle between legacy and livelihood, between the sport and life beyond it.
They're trying to make it safer and, you know, all those sorts of things, but there's still this pureness to boxing that really doesn't exist in sports anymore, but it's still there with boxing. I think that's why people have such a problem with this kind of move from Tank Davis?
Is it more the heart? How do you guys feel being boxers?
Man, like once you hear the numbers, I'm like, they're talking like I don't know the official one. They're talking about like 100 mil.
Oh damn.
Like, they're talking about these insane numbers. Like I'm gonna be like, don't take that. I'm not gonna tell another man not to take that type of check, especially for something like that. It's not on your official record. It's an exhibition. I'm not gonna lie here and act like I'm not gonna say yes to 100 million or something like that. But I do see exactly what you're saying about the essence of boxing. I wish they would kind of separate a little more because exhibitions have always been a thing. There's always been an argument.
Right.
But they're just selling it like a real fight almost.
Right.
So I think that maybe if we could create a better like distinction, more of a difference.
Right.
There might be less hate on it, but at the end of the day, man, I'm not gonna tell Tank not to take that fight.
And I said this last year. I said create a influencer title. And let those guys fight over there in the influencer world. They can live the world and the life of I'm a world champion without having to do something like this. Now, the issue for this that I have is you have a legitimate 135-pound champion fighter getting in the ring with a 190-pound guy, whatever it is that Jake Paul is at. So now we already let's really answer.
In contrast, many fans believe that beneath all the hype, this matchup feels more like a spectacle than a true competitive fight. Even the promoters seem to know it. Safety measures like a 195-pound catchweight, oversized gloves, and exhibition rules aren't random. They're there to protect both men from the risks that come with such a huge size difference. To most, this fight isn't really about weight, it's about pedigree. Gervonta has faced world-class champions, while Jake's record comes from limited experience. And in the eyes of many, they can already see it. Davis slipping inside, landing crisp shots, and making Jake look awkward, no matter how big he is. Chael Sonnen recently called out Jake Paul for shifting his focus from Anthony Joshua to Gervonta Tank Davis, saying it felt like a major letdown compared to what fans were led to expect. Sonnen argued that, unlike Paul, Tank isn't a natural showman. He doesn't sell fights with his words or chase headlines. He just fights. His power speaks louder than any press conference. But Sonnen pointed out that while Davis brings real skill and legitimacy, he lacks the promotional spark that Paul has mastered. Without Jake's media engine driving the story, Sonnen believes the fight wouldn't capture the same attention. To him, the event's success depends less on the punches and more on Paul's ability to make people care before they're even thrown.
It is the exact opposite of Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul for 2. So the fight that was being dangled and rumored in front of us, the exact opposite has happened. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is not fighting nobody. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is fighting Tank Davis. Okay. So there's one big glaring issue for me. It's just your partner being Tank Davis. Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. It could be a title fight, a contenders fight, a main event fight. He could be the favorite. He could be the underdog. Tank doesn't know how to bring that information to you guys in a way that is compelling. And Tank is already blinking in this situation. You have one guy who is argued amongst the pound for pound current greats in boxing. You have another guy that has suggested he should not even be allowed to box, that he should have to call it something different. He should not be licensed. He should not be ranked in the top 14. He should never be selected for a world title. Okay. Now, Tank has one job to do, which is to let anybody know that's listening that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport.
Meanwhile, Gervonta Davis's view of Jake Paul has clearly changed over time. At first, he brushed Paul off as nothing more than a loud, attention-hungry act, a sideshow clown in the boxing world. He laughed at Paul's claims, never taking him seriously. But as Jake started training harder, showing real discipline and grit, Davis's tone began to shift. He since acknowledged Paul's work ethic, his toughness, and the dedication he brings to the gym. Davis still doesn't see him as elite-level boxing material, but lately, he seemed more open to the idea of sharing a ring with him, partly because even Davis can't ignore the kind of spotlight Jake Paul brings with him.
Jake, what do you think of Jake?
Clown. He's a clown. I know that Jake can't fight. He can't fight. So
would you look at it as a joke if your team was like, yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul? Would you be like, come
yeah,
on, man?
I laugh at him. You want me to fight him? At first, I didn't like how Jake Paul was coming because of how he was making it look. But now that I see that, I feel as though he's still a clown because that's his personality. I'm starting to respect it because he's not doing it like for the hype. He was really like trying to be a boxer. I think that he's decent.
Yeah.
Like he's good. I mean, he's not good, but he's going that way.
Is he better than you thought he'd be?
Yeah. Gotta be mentally tough to be in the box. So that's why I don't take that away from some fighters or some people that want to jump into the sport. So just show how tough you are. That's how it should be.
Especially after Jake Paul's dominant win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., respect for him inside the boxing world has grown in a big way. That Anaheim event didn't just draw a crowd. It broke the venue's gate record, surpassing shows once led by top-tier champions, and proving Paul's commercial power is very real. Even legends like Oscar de la Hoya now admit Jake's serious about the sport, suggesting he might actually be able to compete for a world title someday. And when Manny Pacquiao himself says your dedication can't be ignored, it means something. The performance also boosted Paul's technical credibility. Analysts praised how he controlled distance, managed pressure, and stayed calm under the spotlight.
Alvarez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We promoted that fight many years ago. Didn't knock him out, couldn't hurt him. So imagine if Jake Paul can hurt or even wobble Chavez Jr. It's something that Canelo didn't do or couldn't do. So Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., it's a real fight. Yeah. Look, people keep talking about Jake Paul, well, he's not a real fighter, this and that. Well, he's fighting a real fighter now in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It's going to be a good test for both guys. Obviously, Jake Paul, he's a masterclass promoter in what he does. He's been doing some great things. I mean, Mike Tyson, 60 million people, fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who, when he trains, when he gets in shape, when he's focused, he will be dangerous for anybody. Look, Canelo Alvarez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We promoted that fight many years ago. Didn't knock him out, couldn't hurt him. So imagine if Jake Paul can hurt or even wobble Chavez Jr. It's something that Canelo didn't do or couldn't do. So there's a lot of stories to come out from this, a lot of great stories for Jake Paul. So I just feel honored and proud that we can team up with MVP Promotions, with Jake Paul, and we can make Zurdo Ramirez with Torticos the mandatory. That's going to be a bloodbath in itself. So
Jake Paul has officially declared that his next chapter in boxing is just getting started. And this time, he's coming for real fighters across the divisions. After defeating Andre August, Paul made it clear he's done with crossover or MMA matchups. Now his eyes are locked on traditional boxing, determined to face legitimate pros and prove he belongs. In a CNN interview, he doubled down, saying he wants to fight anyone, especially the biggest, toughest names, the ones where he's the underdog. That same determination shows across his social media and interviews. Paul says he's ready to move beyond spectacle and start building a real boxing legacy, taking on credible opponents to show he's earned his place among the sport's elite.
So everybody's been calling you out, Daniel Dubois, Ryan Garcia, all these people. Who's the most enticing to you?
Oh no, I want to fight them all, to be honest. I just need the time. So I probably will literally fight all of them. So they're all enticing to me.
However, the massive weight gap between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis proved too big to ignore. And in the end, Georgia officials refused to approve the matchup. Because of that, Paul's team withdrew their permit application and shifted the entire event to Miami. The move shows just how complicated putting together big exhibition fights can be. Regulators don't just care about hype or money. They look at safety, fairness, and risk. For Davis, the rejection in Georgia is another reminder of the doubts that still follow him. For Paul, though, Taking the fight to Miami fits perfectly with his brand, bold moves, bright lights, and non-stop headlines. The change doesn't just alter where the fight happens. It reshapes how fans see it, changes the logistics behind the scenes, and reveals just how fragile the business of boxing really
There's no
is.
way in hell this fight was ever going to happen. And the fact that y'all believed it, I don't know, you're stupid. So Rick Thompson, chairman of the Georgia Athletic Commission, told USA Today Sports that Paul's promotion company withdrew its request for permits and a rule waiver, citing the 65-pound weight difference between the fighters. The Rick Thompson guy straight up said they've been promoting something they should not have been. Come on, guys, like, use your brains. Y'all boxing fans, you understand this. This fight was never going to happen. This is the article from USA Today. It says the status of the proposed fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis under scrutiny because of the weight discrepancy between the two fighters. Rick Thompson is coming out and saying this stuff because he said he believes it's in the public's best interest to know that they've been promoting something they should not have been. Communications director for the Office of the Secretary of State told USA Today Sports the event will not be happening. But funny enough, tickets are still available. You could still purchase them online, and the fight is still listed on the State Farm Arena.
Critics say Jake Paul's rise in boxing isn't just built on clever promotion. It's built on a quiet kind of disrespect toward the legends who came before him. They argue that by luring retired greats back into the ring with promises of massive paydays, he's chipping away at the sport's integrity. Sure, it grabs attention and fills arenas, but it also blurs the line between honor and spectacle. Even icons like Mike Tyson have been drawn back after years away. Thrilling fans, yes, but also stirring serious questions about safety and where boxing's true soul really lies.
Taking on Mike Tyson, that's pushing 60 years old, for crying out loud, but at the same time pretending to be like this badass motherfucker, sending me DMs talking. He offered me a contract a long time ago. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm a retired fighter and I've got one eye. Why would I want to fight you? I wouldn't lower myself to doing that. I know a lot of people do that. They do lower themselves, if you want to say that, because of the payday, because Jake Paul is a big name. He is a social media sensation. He's a YouTube star. And now, of course, in the world of boxing, he's one of boxing's biggest stars because he puts on these spectacles like Paul versus Tyson, like Nate Diaz, because these are the fighters, these are the names that attract the eyes. Jake Paul is the B-side to almost every single one of his fights. When he fought Nate Diaz, people were tuning in for Nate Diaz. His last fight, against Cesar Chavez Jr. Apparently no one watched that fight. Apparently the pay-per-views were ridiculously low. So this one's going back to Netflix on November 14th, and it's an exhibition bout. Of course, it's an exhibition bout because no athletic commission in their right mind will sanction this fight. There's just no way you can make this a legitimate fight because of the size advantage. Typically, this would be very, very dangerous and someone could get really hurt. If Jake Paul was to swing as hard as he could and connect and wobble him and hit him many, many times and not knock him out with the bigger gloves and the concussion possibilities and the brain rattling around inside the head and Jake Paul just teeing off at him as hard as he could, it's dangerous. That's why fights like this can't get sanctioned. That's why this is a exhibition bout and not a real matchup. Now listen, they're both going to get paid tremendously. They're going to make a ton of money and a lot of people are going to tune in and watch it on Netflix.
In the end, the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis showdown captures just how thin the line between sport and entertainment has become. What some call a mismatch, others see as a high-stakes business move, one that gives both fighters massive exposure, big paydays, and a louder spotlight than ever. The weight gap, the venue switch, the marketing chess game, and the endless talk about legitimacy all add fuel to the spectacle. But for fans, critics, and insiders alike, the real intrigue lies in how these two very different men handle the pressure, the perception, and the fallout when the lights hit. Whether it's remembered as a circus or a turning point for crossover boxing, its impact will be felt long after the final bell.
Optically, visually, seeing that go viral, and I mean go viral, and Jake Paul will never hear the end of it.
Help you up. We're gonna see about it. Help you up. We're gonna see.
Because Gervonta Tank Davis is not only a real boxer, he's a real boy. He's 5'5". He's a lightweight. Skills pay the bills. Let him knock out Jake Paul, give him Bambi legs, or knock him down. Gervonta Tank Davis, that moment will go viral, and he will be a far bigger well-known boxer than he is today, and he will also be a hero. And that's the Black Two Sugars. That you guys don't want to admit it. Don't bull jive.
So what do you think? Does this matchup actually make sense? Or is it just too one-sided to take seriously? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's see where you stand.